As ratification proceeded throughout the end of 1787 and into early 1788, the Federalists worked incredibly hard to overcome many of the anti-Federalist objections that wanted to retain some of state authority that existed under the Articles of Confederation. But by June of 1788, 9 states have voted to ratify the Constitution, which was enough for it to take effect. That still left a glaring issue. New York and Virginia both had not ratified the Constitution yet. And without those two large states, there was no way that the United States would survive as a nation and the new Constitution could come into effect. In order to gain the support of New York and Virginia, the Bill of Rights became a critical concept because to get them to subscribe to this new balance of power, both states wanted to ensure that interests, liberties, and rights were going to be immediately protected after the initial ratification of the Constitution. Something that people often don't remember is that when James Madison spoke at the first Congress after ratification, he proposed a series of nearly 20 different constitutional amendments as a Bill of Rights. Not the 10 that we think of today. And some of these were actually very significant. Now, in the end, he proposed 17, and of those 17, 12 became the original amendments that survived congressional approval, going to the states for ratification. Enough states ratified 10 of those, what we know today as the Bill of Rights. And the First Amendment was not the First Amendment, it was the third, actually, in that list. Now, of those 12, those 10 amendments we know today as the Bill of Rights were approved, and actually one of them became the 27th Amendment when it was ratified in 1992. But there are some really incredible things that were proposed by Madison that did not make it into the Bill of Rights or the Constitution. One of them was actually to include a preamble to the preamble, which would have come before the now famous sentence that begins with "We the people." This met with significant resistance within that first Congress, considering the strength that people felt "We the people" put at the very beginning of the Constitution. There also was a push to incorporate various rights and liberties directly against the states. As we know today, it would be some time until after the 14th Amendment that the US Supreme Court will begin to incorporate things like the right of free speech, the freedom of the press, against the various states in the United States. And finally, one of the things that they wanted to see that Madison proposed was that the Bill of Rights not be appended at the end of the Constitution, but instead be interwoven into the original text. Congress did not like this idea and felt that the original Constitution was satisfactory as it looked. And therefore, the Bill of Rights was appended and became the first 10 amendments to the US Constitution, closing out the ratification process that had begun years earlier.